Yo, what's going on? This is Section 2. I'm here with 24/7 Live Culture, and this is a Who's Hot exclusive.
There's a bullet in the sky. I sent it expedited, hope it reaches. Sign still delivered on time. I could have sent it quicker, but you know how I get. I'm a glorified perfectionist, far from perfect, never get it right, that's to my detriment. Hold myself to standards I can never keep, I'm flexing it. This really my exodus, so settling, real or fake, whatever it is.
What's up, everyone? It's your girl, Angelique Henderson, here with 24/7 Live Culture. We're here with this incredible artist, Section 2, who's going to tell us all about his journey, things you have to look forward to, what it's like being an artist or a musician in this current time, and so much more. Take us away, man. Tell us about your journey. How'd you first get started with music?
All right, so yeah, growing up, like music was kind of just like a constant in my family. Both my parents kind of have background in music. My dad, growing up, played a few instruments, was a DJ in his younger days. My mom played some instruments. She sang in church, has a beautiful voice. I think that was kind of passed down to me and my sister. We grew up in church. We were singing and acting in church as well. And yeah, I think around the time that I was like 15 or 16, I got into music production. And that was like a really big thing for me at the time. Like I kind of set my sights on that. I was kind of determined to be a producer. I didn't really have any aspirations of being in front of the mic. I kind of always wanted to play the background. But then my last year at college, I was in music school. I was studying music, and in my last year of college, I kind of just decided one day to like try my hand at songwriting, and I realized that like I might be kind of good at it. So over time, I started to just like try and fan that flame and just get more involved there. And it's kind of led me to where I'm at now. I feel like the past few years, I've kind of just been like trying my best to become the best songwriter, artist, producer, etc. that I can be. So
That's dope. Where'd you go to college and what did you study?
so I did a year at the University of New Haven, and then I ended up coming back home and I finished at City College up in Harlem, and I studied music in both places.
Okay, so it sounds like you got some strong New York roots there. You tell us where you're from originally.
Yeah, so I'm born and raised in Jamaica, Queens. I live in the Bronx now, but I still like Queens is like that's me forever for sure.
Queens. I mean, I'm a Brooklyn girl, but we have our respect for Queens as well. So like you said, started out, realized you were good at this, started putting out singles. So you first started putting out singles about 2018, correct?
Yeah, 2018.
What was that process like of beginning to figure out your process and your sound as a musician?
It was interesting. It was a lot of trial and error. I feel like the first the first like four or five songs that I wrote, I want to say maybe like two or three of them came out. I think one of them was a song called Need to Know, another one was a song called Closer. And I might be blanking on another one. But yeah, I feel like in the midst of me writing those songs, I was still very new to the process of songwriting, and I was still trying to figure out like how to process my thoughts and like get like word them in a way that like made sense to me, but would also be appealing to like a larger, more general audience. I feel like at that time I was like there was like a very fine line walking that balance between like, oh yeah, like this makes sense, but like, is this also palatable for more people than just me? Like that was definitely a huge thing that I was kind of I don't think I realized it at the time, but like looking back, I think that was like a big thing that I was trying to figure out when I first started.
And do you think by the time you put out your first album, Portrait, that sort of came together for you?
Oh yeah, for sure. But by the time that like I had gotten those 7 songs for Portrait, I feel like everything had kind of fallen into place like at the perfect time. And granted, like I was still learning, obviously, like in my I wasn't that far into my songwriting journey when Portrait came out, but like for that time, I felt as though I was like very adept at like making songs that were good, that were interesting, and that could be found interesting by more people than just me and my friends. So
That's good. Well, you definitely succeeded with girls like Anita. I was like, oh, I like this. This is this is a little bit. Maybe I'm a girl like Anita. So was that inspired by a specific girl, or how did girls like Anita come about?
yeah, so Girls Like Anita is actually the first song I ever wrote, ever. Like that, which still kind of blows my mind to this day. But yes, the Girls Like Anita was inspired by a girl that I had a Spanish class with. This was like my senior year of college. I think she was also a senior at the time. And she was just like very mysterious, like rarely ever came to class. Like if she was in class, she slept through the whole thing, but was like just like this gorgeous girl who was just I just found her really interesting. Like we spoke maybe once, but like in the context of the class. And I was just like, oh, like this girl's really interesting. And I kind of just like let my mind run and kind of just like came up with this whole story that was like inspired by this girl.
Wow. Well, shout out to Anita. You helped an incredible song be born.
Shout out to her. I do not remember her real name, but but yeah, shout out to her.
It's hilarious. How did things evolve for you through your 2020, 2021 projects, taking us all the way to present day for heaven only knows? What did that look like for you?
So yeah, that was so speaking specifically on Cascade Effect, I was this is obviously post portrait. I had seen some success, probably way more than I expected, honestly. Like there were people reaching out to me, seeing what my situation was, like more just in general, a bunch of people heard the song Trophies, and that was very surprising. So I feel like going into working on Cascade Effect, I was still very new in the songwriting process. And in my head, I was kind of like, man, can I do this again? Like, can I sit down and make a body of work with good songs on it again? That was something that was kind of just like playing in my mind a little bit, and it scared me. I'm not gonna lie, it scared me a little bit. But I feel like once I kind of just threw myself into just like, hey, like you already know how to write songs. You can get better, but like you know how to write songs. Once I kind of solidified that, it was like, all right, just a lot similar to what was going on during portrait times. There's a lot of trial and error, but I could feel myself getting better and just like my pen becoming sharper and just yeah, just overall just becoming a better songwriter. So I feel like that was that was like the real story behind Cascade Effect. Like I feel like I really came into my own as an artist there.
Mhm.
And then so yeah, so I was working on that project like a lot of 2019, and then the pandemic happened, and it was like all like the album was like almost finished like when the pandemic happened, and I kind of already started working on other stuff.
Right.
And then it was like, oh, like how do I go about putting this out? Like obviously like everything had kind of come to a halt. Like I'd had some momentum and things were looking good, but then that all kind of just died down. And then I remember I had planned to put the album out sometime in June, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, it was sometime in June. But then George Floyd died, and I was like, all right, wait a second. Like, I can't I kind of paused whatever plans I had. And I remember I was still gonna put the album out, but instead of just putting it out outright, I had I put it out on Bandcamp early, and I had like asked for donations to like send to, I think it was like Breonna Taylor had a GoFundMe, George Floyd had a GoFundMe, and there were like maybe like two or three other GoFundMe's that were going around at the time. And I was just like, hey, like I'm putting this out. I'm taking donations for these specific GoFundMe's. And I think I raised like over $1,500. And I think at the time, like I didn't realize like the reach that I had and like just via social media and all that stuff. And that kind of opened my eyes to like, wow, like this is like, I mean, like, yeah, like obviously like I love music and like I want to do that, but like there's also like a platform attached to this. And this is like way bigger than what I could have ever imagined, just like writing these songs like with my friends. So yeah, that was like a huge eye opener also. And then also in the midst of this, Cascade Effect comes out, and I obviously have all the time in the world because we're just at home. So like I'm making a bunch of music, like the most music I've ever made ever. And granted, a lot of it was terrible. Like I made so much terrible music during the pandemic. But this was around the time that like I really got confident in my songwriting. It was like, all right, like I sit down, I felt like I could almost write about anything. Like you give me a topic and I could like try and make something good out of like the strangest things. And a lot of that was just like I was writing so much every day that like my skill, or I felt as though my skill was like to a certain up to a certain T, which kind of birthed Never Nothing. I was I was doing a lot of singing, of course, but then I'd also gotten the itch to rap a little bit. And that's kind of where Never Nothing came about. It had originally started just like me like being inspired by Lil Wayne and like the dedications and like No Ceilings and like him just like rapping over other people's beats. And a lot of what Never Nothing was originally was just like me rapping over other people's beats. There's like over 25 songs where I'm just like taking other people's beats and rapping over them that'll never see the light of day. But like, and rightfully so, because they're not that. But but yeah, I just wanted to solidify the fact that like I felt as though I could do both. Like, I can rap and sing, and Never Nothing was kind of just like me planting my flag in the ground that like I'm a good rapper too. Although looking back, like I've become a much better rapper since then. But you
That
know,
you mentioned you mentioned Wayne. So tell me more about some of your music influences and then how that brought you to the Heaven Only Knows journey.
so yeah, some of my biggest influences are Frank Ocean, Marvin Gaye, Lauryn Hill, Biggie, and James Blake. Those are like my like in terms of like my pillars in music. Those are people that like I really look up to. And like transitioning into Heaven Only Knows, I feel like I had gotten to a place where I was confident as a songwriter, and like I felt like I had a good grip on what I was doing. But I was working on some music at the time that just like wasn't really doing it for me, I think. And like I remember I had went and I had played some songs that I had for my manager at the time. And he was like, oh yeah, like these are good, but like but like you can probably make better songs than this. And I was like, okay, like
Love that,
like
right? He wasn't just
exactly.
bootlegging, telling you what you want to hear.
I need that kind of honesty. Like that, I thrive off of that. So I was like, all right, like I kind of took it upon myself. I took it as a challenge. I was like, all right, like I'm not a bad songwriter. Like it's just, like I gotta come a little bit stronger.
Right.
So then the first song I made after that was Till the Sun. And I felt like I had kind of gone down like till the sun on, like I felt like I'd kind of gone on a roll there. It was like, all right, like I'm kind of back in a groove. The songs are feeling really good. And I wasn't super concerned about like but because like majority of my music like it comes from a very personal, very honest place. But I felt like I got like a little too caught up in that. It was almost like, oh, like I couldn't write songs if it wasn't like my exact lived experience. And I think that kind of hindered me a little bit. So once I kind of got back to just like writing good songs, like just solely focused on that, it was like, oh, all right, like there's something to be like, there's something to work towards here, like just writing the best songs possible. And out of that came Come See Me Tonight, which was just like purely good songwriting, I think.
Okay. Okay. That's amazing. Would you say Canes would be an example of like just letting yourself go and not
Yeah,
stressing too much about, yeah, the
for
outcome?
sure. Because I mean, there's Raising Canes in New York now, but at the time there was no Raising. Like I had never had Raising Canes in my life.
Is it
Like
the one up in Broadway, that Raising
yes,
Cane? Okay.
yes. So like when I wrote Raising Canes, I had never had it before. I just knew what it was, and like I was kind of just like I remember like the first line that I had for that song was like, "Yo Tesla, your Tesla got Texas plates down south, baby grew up on Raising Canes," and I was like, all right, so like I kind of just derived the story from there, but like never been to Texas, never had
Yeah, I was
Raising.
like, Texas? What do you know about Texas? That's funny.
I
I
don't know
love
a damn
that.
thing about Texas, but
What made you create music videos for Black Thing? And you have another one. Black Thing. What was the other music video? You did two from that album.
I did one for Heaven Only Knows as well,
Heaven
the
Only Knows.
title track.
Okay.
But yeah, Black Thing was just a song that like really meant a lot to me, and it was just like I'm talking about a lot of things there, and I knew that like I wanted to have my family involved just because like the song is like very familial in nature. So like the fact that I got my mom and my grandmother in the video, that was like a really big deal for me. And it like it just that like there's something about Black Thing that just feels very immediate and very like urgent.
Mhm.
And I kind of wanted to like I feel like the video does a good job of conveying that, but not being like chaotic. Like if that makes sense. Like
Oh,
it's
yeah,
very toned and very dialed in, but like there's still something very urgent about that video that I really like. And
absolutely. The grayscale, the aesthetic, it all seemed very intentional.
no, yeah, for sure. And then Heaven Only Knows was kind of just like shout out to Tommy and Andrew. They were working with Viper and like just kind of came together on like this really cool idea just to kind of showcase me just like in my element, just kind of like flowing through the song, which I really needed at the time, honestly. Just like showing me in a light that was like very confident and just like sure of myself. That was like a really big deal at the
Right.
time. So
That's incredible. Shout out to the team behind those projects, behind those videos. Came out really well.
thank you.
Yeah, you should definitely be proud of those. So tell us a little bit more about just, man, what is it like being a musician currently? What have been some challenges that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, being a musician right now is definitely it's definitely a unique experience for sure. I think when I first started, I had no idea of the power of social media and like how useful it could be as a tool. I think I I tended to play a little bit too cool when I first started. Like I didn't want to promote myself and all that good stuff. But then once I kind of realized how like just how powerful social media is, I like once I kind of started to use it to my advantage, it ended up working out for me. And that's how I kind of had the "Come See Me Tonight" thing go viral and all that stuff. Like that kind of happened just as a result of me just like being consistent on social media and kind of just like using it as the tool that it is. But but yeah, I mean, like social media is obviously like there's upsides and downsides to it. It's so easy to get caught up in it and like focus too much on it, and it can take away from the actual artistry and all that good stuff. It's like a delicate line to walk of like you have to focus on social media, but like obviously like it's about music and like creating the best quality product for the world to hear. So it's like, how do you balance the two? And then and like obviously like streaming is its own beast to tackle. You got to have strategy there, and it's just like so many things to consider that I feel like even 10 years ago, like a lot of artists were not as cognizant or didn't have to be as cognizant of, because there was artist development and there were structures at labels that kind of guided you and like kind of walked you through a lot of these things. But like nowadays, like you are your own label. You have access to millions of people at all times via the slew of social media outlets. So it's like it's a very it's a very interesting time to be a musician for sure.
You've been leveraging it well. Definitely have a great following across the platforms on Spotify, on Instagram. So kudos to you for figuring out how to leverage that, how to walk that balance and make it work for you.
Thank you. I mean, I still feel like I'm trying to figure it out. Honestly, like it is not the easiest thing in the world, but you know, I've been blessed enough to work myself up to a point that I do have a following, and there are people that check for what I do, which is insane. I'm just grateful, honestly.
It's not insane. And with the 2023 release, which Love Could Stand On, tell me how that feels, knowing that now you've built up this following and you're able to put that single out and what that felt like.
Oh no, that was incredible, and like I love that song because I feel like it's some of my best songwriting like to date. Like it kind of just felt like kind of like a full circle moment just to like have that come out, and like I love the visuals that we did for it as well. Like it's like one of my favorite songs I've ever made. So to like have that to have that out in the world and like do as well as it did on Spotify and things like that, like it's truly means the world.
That's incredible. Y'all make sure y'all go ahead and stream that and support all of the other singles and projects that he's put out. Yeah, you have a great body of work already. We're excited to continue to see it develop. Of course, you have a platform and a home here now as well with 24/7 Live Culture.
Thank you so much.
Of course. What upcoming projects or singles or things that you have going on that you want to tell our viewers about?
Yeah, so I've got a single coming out next month called Honey Bun that I'm really looking forward to. It's a bit of a different song from from stuff you've heard from me in the past. I'm very interested to see the response, but it's great. We shot like a really cool video for it, and that'll be something. It's should be good.
Well, we look forward to it. Y'all heard it here, February 2024, Honey Bun. Make sure y'all follow him and check out the visual for it and just, show love. That's what it's all about. This artist is hot and we want to continue to uplift and give attention to artists who are hot and putting out good quality stuff. So go ahead and plug it like it's hot. Where can your viewers, followers, where can our viewers, followers find you, support the music? Where can they find you on all platforms?
So yeah, on Instagram specifically, it's at section2_. But honestly, no one else has the at name section2. Like I've been trying to get just section2 on Instagram for forever, but for some reason, like I can't do it without the underscore, unfortunately. But if you go to any platform, just at sectiontoo, you'll find me there.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for chopping it up with us. Again, we're so excited for everything that you've accomplished already, everything that you have coming up, and we look forward to continuing to see where the journey takes you.
Thank you so much for having me. I greatly appreciate it. This has been incredible.
Of course.
Heaven only knows if I get it right. Say I can't leave behind nothing that I don't find. Say heaven only knows if I get it right. Cross my heart, I'm trying to find just a little peace of mind. It's all mine.